Welcome to Dragon's Tome, episode 124. We're going over every Dragon magazine in chronological order. And we're up to 124. It is August 1987. Pat is going to college.
Going to college soon. I'm ready. Actually, I leave this month.
It's a big time for little Pat. And this is looks like a Pegasus by Tiana Byarts. Tiana Byarts.
What's the title?
There is no title.
Oh, I thought it usually has a title.
No, she just had High Riding Adventurer.
Let's give it a title. Let's call it High Rider.
High Riders, because the person's high. They had some mushrooms before they got on the Pegasus.
That sounds like a magazine from the 70s devoted to women on motorcycles.
That was Easy
Rider. It's the High Rider is the pot magazine devoted to women on motorcycles.
That was High Times.
Oh, that's right. It's women on motorcycles who are high, so it's High Rider. Anything to say about this wonderful Pegasus? I like the wingspan. It's a pretty majestic wingspan.
It's nice. It's nice painting. It's not horrible, but it doesn't catch my eye like the other ones did.
I think it's a little too small in the frame. This subject.
Really?
I know you got to get the wings in, but you're losing some details, and I don't know.
I personally, I thought it was the perfect way of showing how big and grandiose and how high you were. It gave a kind of a open space.
Well, there you go.
Appeal to me.
It's
art, right?
Yep.
You get out of what you see.
Yep. I don't think it's bad. I think it's all right.
Yeah, I just think it's all right.
Jack, do you think it's all right, or you think it's good?
I think it's all right.
I mean, in the grand scheme of the last two covers, we'll say it's okay.
Okay. Enough about that. Let's start with Articlas. We'll start with Patrick, because I know you got tons.
I have 17.
And more than Jack.
Go to page 20.
22.
20.
Yeah, Sailors of the Sea Air. This is pretty cool.
Air. So this is skyships or airships in the Forgotten Realms. Dr. Greenwood talks about how they're built and stay afloat, and he compares them to the other airships of different books and movies like Peter Pan and John Carter.
And Frank Elbaum.
Yeah.
It is steampunky. The beginnings of steampunk getting into sneaking into the Forgotten Realms, which it definitely happens more.
So for the airships in Forgotten Realms, these ones are fairly constructed using tortoise shells or something like hard as a tortoise shell. Each shell has a heavy levitation spell cast on it, and that's how you get them to stay afloat.
So we don't need airbags. They're not dirigibles.
And you're controlled using a rod. You control the ship using a rod of levitation and steering vanes once it gets moving. There's a little complication with the steering with the rod of levitation. There's these caps that you screw on it and then do different things for the rod to make it up or down, I think, or forward and backwards. But other than that, it's just very clear. This is how you get a flying ship in the Forgotten Realms.
It's strangely succinct for Mr. Greenwood.
Yeah, it's only like a page and a column.
Not
even a column.
Yeah.
Page and a quarter of a column.
Yep.
Once you discuss how much you have to work the rod, after that, it's all semantics.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack.
Up to...
Oh, Jack. I see where you're going with that.
Oh, God. Here we go. He's got to make everything dirty.
He has a dirty mind. Dirty.
Yeah.
Dirty birdie. Jack, what is your first article then, Dirty Birdie?
Oh. If we could we please go to page 36?
Oh, that was mine.
Of the Eagle, the Aarakocra.
Aarakocra. This is definitely something that becomes a a race later on.
Oh, 100%.
Official.
This is the making of a avian race. I don't know. I think they're much maligned in modern day as a race, but this is someone thinking that it was a space in the gaming players' races for something that was a little bit different, and this is it. This is a kind of demi-human bird, which has its own, according to the author, its own societies and its own idiosyncrasies. Like they don't like being in confined areas.
Got its own religion.
They have their own god. It's they a bit cowardly. They will break from combat.
Racist.
Yeah.
How dare you call all Aarakocra as cowardly? You're painting them all with the same brush.
I didn't write this, so
Jack, I'm not blaming you. You're the messenger I'm yelling at.
I will say
I'm blaming J.E. Keeping.
J.E. Keeping?
Yes.
As a PC race, though, I think it's the rules that he lays out is a little limiting to this race. Is that he only lets them be clerics, fighters, and thieves.
I don't know how you thief. I don't know about that.
It does say in the article they're not good thieves.
I was gonna say
it doesn't, but it gives them. If you look down here in the chart,
they could be thieves.
Yeah.
Cleric, fighter, thieves. Is it more for D&D then instead of AD&D? No, it's AD&D.
No, it's AD&D. First I thought it was D&D because this article runs right next to a bunch of letters that are talking about the expert set. And so I got confused for half a second.
But by just limiting it to clerics, fighters, and thieves, that's why I thought, maybe it's just D&D. But no, it says AD&D.
No, it's AD&D. Because it comes out of this creature comes out of the fiend folio.
Right, right. And like it's been said before, and everyone probably knows, this does become a player character race, and it is. I don't know. I've always heard it kind of poo-pooed, but.
Well, they have natural flight, which is it's pretty powerful. I think that.
Yeah, but they're also then because they're hollow boned. They're also not very high with their
constitution lower. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So J.E. Keeping, I don't know what the J stands for, so it could be male, female, or other. But they kind of had their, they had a crystal ball. They scried into the future of what may be, and here it is. They're a Aarakocra.
Well, you even said it right.
How else would he say it?
That's how I say it.
Like the deity box lands smack dab in the middle of questions about the expert rule booklet, which confused me.
Yeah, if you don't see the little continued, one column of the three on one page it starts talking about the other stuff, and if you're reading and you kind of just move over and you look, what's going on?
Because I had the same thought that Rob did. I was like, oh, maybe this is just for D&D, not AD&D. And then so I started looking back. Well, wait, it came out of the Fiend Follow. It's got to be for AD&D.
No, it's like this little section is in the middle of the god is in the middle of all the other questions for.
Yeah.
Then you look over and you go, why can't my gray elf thief scale walls at the same? What's going on?
And then it's got that Beastmaster experience, the revised Beastmaster experience table that I thought was part of the Aarakocra.
I did look up D&D 5e races, and the very first race is these guys because they're AA. So
does it call it Aarakocra in 5e?
Yep.
No, good.
I guess it's my first one. We're going to go to page 46. 46. Front end alignments.
I figured you were going to grab this one.
Because it's stupid.
That's exactly what I thought you were going to grab.
He even says, like at the very beginning, he says, I know this is stupid and or absurd. And it's like, yes, you're right. But it pretty much just describes all of different player types. For some reason, he has a loose base of alignments on it. But none of that matters. The alignments it have nothing to do with anything. He's just describing all the different players you can play with and the way they act, and it's like, it's one of the things like, oh yeah, I play with a guy like that. It's just one of those articles where you just, oh yeah, that's me, or oh yeah, I play with somebody who plays like that, or yeah.
The alignments thing is the hook. That's the gist of an article that we've kind of seen before.
Yeah,
that lures you in, and then you're right. It gets you with the like, oh yeah, we've all,
yeah,
the guy,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
chaotic crybaby, the guy who complains about everything, or the lawful bored, it's just
lawful idiot.
Yeah, a lot of those. He just goes through all different things, but I guess if you like, at first I was like, is he taking it seriously or isn't he taking it seriously? And I guess he's not taking it seriously, but he just pretty much lays out all the types of people you can play with. And I don't know how many he's actually played with, but if he's played with all these different types of people, I feel very sorry for them.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was my quick hit on this stupid article. Stupid.
All right. Stupid.
Back to Patrick, I believe.
All right. Well, let's just go up a couple pages to 42.
42. It's the answer to life, universe, and everything.
Yes.
This is the one I thought you would mention because this is all about Kali or Eskrima.
Kali if you're truly Filipino. Eskrima if you're...
I only know because it's... what's his name on
Daredevil.
No, the...
Forged in Fire.
Forged in Fire, yeah. He's Kali martial arts expert. And I was like, Kali, what's Kali? And then I realized, it's just Eskrima. Same difference. Although he uses knives a lot, so I wonder if there's a slight difference.
No, there's different styles.
Yeah.
Or schools of fighting. That's one of the things that my uncle was a Mangandal, which is one stick and a lot of leg sweeps.
Oh, there you go. as you were on the receiving end of.
Yeah. But I do like it's bringing the Filipino stick fighting to card tour. But you don't know I am Filipino,
a lot more interesting into this as almost like a player character. Yeah.
Yes, I think what it is it makes it a player character in a sense.
Yeah, and Pat can say a lot of things here because he is Filipino. That's why we might make sure everything. It's nobody yell at him.
I do like they do prevent. They do like we were just saying. I do like they present this as a fighter martial arts class kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he does use the word Eskrima, which kind of makes me believe that this guy's maybe a student, not necessarily Filipino himself.
I'm sure his name is Joseph R. Ravitz.
Yeah. So. But it goes over the different styles: the lapu-lapu, the humabon, the kuntao, and the alapang.
Jack wants to make a joke about food, but he can't.
Lapu-lapu. Well,
pineapple,
these
banana.
That was where he's going.
You can make fun,
and that's all I know. That's all those things.
We only make fun because Pat's been our friend for a long time.
Yes, but I will say, I will
Filipino.
Historical. The names of these styles are named after the guys who kind of invented
it.
Yeah, like
of course.
This guy Lapu-Lapu is one of the guys that was the king. I think the Lapu-Lapu is the guy who killed Magellan.
Good. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
How dare you go around the world?
Exactly. You come to the Filipinos and think you're gonna just be all, hey, get in my boat.
Take over, yeah. Break the white man over.
So but yeah, so if you are any kind of martial artist or you enjoy martial arts, Eskrima, basically stick fighting, and it's fast. If you have not seen anyone in a Kali fight, go to YouTube and watch them because it's a lot of hard hits, a lot of
fast.
And
yeah.
Just remember being a 10, 12-year-old. I think we were even 6 when I went to the first time to the Philippines. At 6-year-old, you get your uncle beating you with these bamboo sticks.
Yeah, when two like experts hit each other. How old was your uncle?
He's the youngest. So
please tell me he was a teenager, not an adult.
Oh yeah, because he's the youngest of 18.
But is he like was he a teenager at the time?
My dad was 3, so I'm trying to think. He
wasn't a 45-year-old.
Yeah,
guy.
that's
what he was.
That's what I'm scared about.
No, he was in his 20s, I think. Early 20s.
That's still pretty old.
Not 20.
Well, that's right. 20 might be on the edge.
He's about 15 years older than I am.
There you go. So he was an adult beating on children.
Yeah, but that's how they train those kids. You train those kids over here. You don't go easy on them. You just
I've
went hard.
definitely seen the Muay Thai, what they do to
the
those
Muay
kids.
Thai guys are just as bad.
Oh,
those
yeah.
guys just beat down.
Yeah.
So
there's a reason why
Like,
their legs
I
are
feel-
like rocks.
in all honesty, I feel like my uncle could have been way harder on us.
He was just screwing around you.
He was just, teaching us.
If you were
a
actually
little bit.
serious doing it, you would probably have.
Yeah,
a lot
like if
more.
we were going to be in school to learn this thing, yeah, it would have been way much worse.
Yeah.
So
That's the way it's taught back then.
So I have
Probably
rudimentary knowledge of this, but there is one where there's two stick fighting, single stick fighting. Like the one my uncle learned was one stick fighting with, like I said, with a lot of elbows and leg sweeps. And then there's one where you have one stick and a blade in the other.
Yeah, it's cool. It's especially when you played Oriental Adventures, to have this kind of more in-depth stuff is a lot more useful than just the generic what they give you. So it'd be really good to have a lot more information about what you're doing.
Sure, yeah, 100%.
Because a lot of it also in Oriental Adventures was like really, they called it Kung Fu back then, but it's Wing Chun or Wu Chen, what do they call it now? I can't remember. But
Wing Chun, Wu Jin.
Wu Jin, yeah, that's it. That kind of stuff where it's more like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon kind of things instead of real world. Yeah, instead of real world martial arts where it'd be much more grounded, where that stuff was much more mystical almost. So, yep, it'd be very good to have these articles for if you're playing a Oriental Adventures adventure. So, or just the background information too, any kind of Bushido or any of those kind of games too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Jack, what is your next one?
Let's see here. We're going to go to page 52.
52?
We did it last week. We're doing it again this week.
Oh, yeah, Arcane Lore again.
I left this one for Jack because I knew he was going to go for new spells.
Well, it looks like this is going to be, I don't know how long it lasts. I don't read ahead. So this is a kind of a new made-up spells by fans, and Richard Baldwin, he's created some sort of wizard named Odin, and this is kind of in
Odini.
He's a what are those little guys from Star Trek? The little
Jawa.
Make that noise? Okay, yeah. One of those guys. No.
Jack, you do have a stroke, or he was joking, I hope.
I've never seen Star Trek.
No. You don't know what Gandalf was talking about?
No. So these are some new spells that are, I would say, of all the articles we've seen of new spells, these are the most appropriate per level and in scope. Like the first one, the Magic Cloud, you can create various different clouds that obscure, or ones just for special effects. You can make a cloud that has a rainbow go through it.
Well, to show your pride.
The impenetrable lock, it makes the lock unpickable and even unbreakable. There's the sounding stick. You hit it on walls and it finds secret doors. You hit it on the floors, you find
cool.
That's pretty useful.
trap doors. It's there's a lot of useful spells, and I think this Arcane Lore, if it becomes a series, would add.
It's like back in the day when they did the magic items a lot. This is for spells, same kind of idea, right?
Exactly.
Useful stuff that you might, you found this scroll, you can add this to your, or have a character who's like purposely looking for Odin's spellbook or something, so you can have it as a quest.
His old apprentice, he's gotta find his master. All he has is spells to go by.
Yeah,
it writes itself.
Yeah, it's cool. Fun
stuff.
For me, let us go to, since it's I shouldn't do another one. I hate people. Let's go to one that actually is a good one. Well, we were just talking about it, but let's go to page 5 for the editor, because Jack was just talking about the new columns that are coming out, and one of them is that the arcane lore. The other one's called Lords and Legends, which is going to be kind of like the olden days when they had those characters in. We were talking
Yeah, I
about
think I covered a couple
back in the
early
day. Yeah,
days.
it's going to be coming back, and also he said any ideas about new ones coming out? They said they're not going to do classifieds because polyhedron does it, and if they did it since they have such a large base, like so international and everything, it would take up way too many pages, and it's just not worthwhile. But they do say that maybe they'll do one for BBSs in the future, which is the first sign of the internet sneaking into this magazine. So
I was just gonna say, like we're talking bullet board system,
Yep.
BBS.
So this is at the time probably only in colleges, I would think. Like it's very early days of the internet at this point. So yeah, bulletin board systems. It's saying that he's heard that they're a rich source of information. A lot of people talking about games, AD&D in particular. It's a hot topic on these things. So yeah, it's the beginning of the internet sneaking in. It's 87. This is pretty early. I'm amazed it was.
It's funny. We had just discussed last week about getting into a letter writing with making pen pals from across the world. And now bulletin board systems, if I believe at this point, were localized. It was like in your library had one, and everyone in your town would be able to.
I'm trying to think about when I made my first 386.
It would be probably a little bit after this,
90,
but not much.
91, I think.
Yeah,
90 or
like
91.
Yeah, but by 90, 92, 93, that's when the internet really took off. But this,
BBS
like Jackson.
is really strong in early 90s, 91, 92, 93.
Yeah, this is like the very beginnings of, maybe not quite like Jack said, maybe not quite the internet because it's not all connected, interconnected, but at least within colleges, within library systems that you can get on these bulletin boards. So it's kind of fun. It's the beginning of we see the future. I always like to see in these magazines when things that were so ubiquitous now, or even not ubiquitous because we're so far past BBSs that that's ancient history. That it's fun to see.
I mean,
so that's
Reddit could be considered BBS kind of now, but
oh yeah, any forums, that's pretty much what BBS is. Yeah, fun. We're back to Patrick, I believe.
All right, my last article will be page 58.
58. I think this was one of mine. Yes, it is. Oh no, it isn't.
I was going to say you were going to cover the ecology.
No, mine's 58 in the magazine, which is 60 in the magazine.
All right. So we have Dr. Greenwood ecology back finally. Yay!
And finally a monster that's famous and fun.
Yeah, and fun. So we could talk about the gelatinous cube now. It gives an alternative name called an athcoid. And I mean, while the gelatinous cube is an iconic monster, even so much that they use it in the movie, there's just a couple things that he points out. Most of the stuff everyone knows already, but and I don't know if I even knew this, but when two or more cubes meet, they combine to make a big one.
Yep.
They're attracted by vibration and warmth. And they usually breed by mitosis, so they'll reach a certain level,
and they split,
split in half, and then they go off on their own.
For some reason, I knew all that.
I didn't.
I don't know why.
I didn't know they bred mitosis, but I did know, but I forgot until I read it that the digestive juices that erode everything are held in air-like sacs inside. So as you thrash about, you pop those sacs, and you start to get eaten alive.
I didn't know if the more you thrash, the more it kills you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
well, they do. All the artwork has, or else you would just be invisible. Do have two notable things. One is bubbles, and the other is bits of
weapons
metal.
And stuff floating in it.
Yeah, sundry items. And the artist had to put something in there so you could see it for the most part, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if the ecology
used it,
explains the bubbles, or the bubbles were always this, and it just never fertilized.
I think the art came first, probably. I think you're right, and then he just explained why there's bubbles in it.
Yeah,
that makes sense. It's pretty graphic. The guy got his side eaten. You could see his ribs.
Yeah, well, he's telling the story about the gelatinous cube, and I think people were kind of just blowing him off as like, why would you think that's a dangerous thing?
Gelatinous cubes are super dangerous.
Yeah,
If
they
you've
are.
ever met one in a game, because you can't hit them with a sword. It doesn't work. You have to use bludgeons.
I'm trying to look for the old first edition gelatinous cube picture.
Yeah, I think it was just a cube with shit in it. I think it had a little
I-
skull. I'm pretty sure it had a little skull in there and like some things floating in.
And I think the whole thing was you're just walking down a corridor, all of a sudden you boom, and you're in it.
Yeah, you fall right into it.
It's one of those like the floor that gets you, or the ceiling that gets you, or the stalagmite that gets you.
Mm-hmm.
No, stalactite that would get you.
I think it could be either.
There was both. There was the piercer, and then I forget what the stalagmite one was.
Yes. Anyways, gelatinous cubes, fun times. Jack, do you have another article?
Let me see here. I did the Arakakra. I did Arcane Lore. So no, I am tapped out. I've done my due diligence.
You don't have a bonus? You don't have a bonus one?
I'm contractually obligated to produce 2, and I have.
Okay. We'll go right to me because I can scroll right to the next page, which is page 60. And that's the Game Wizards. It's by Michael Dobson, but he's just talking about second edition updates, how Zeb Cook's working on this one. He says he's getting a crap ton of letters, like thousands and thousands of letters. He said one person wrote 80 pages on how to fix things. Another person wrote 50 just on spells. And someone sent a whole package full of revisions, like a whole box full of stuff. He does request you don't send death threats. God, he must be getting a lot of those too.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
But he does mention, like in passing, he's like, yeah, we don't know what we're really doing yet. He's still considering it being in a 3-ring binder, which is kind of funny because later the Monstrous Compendium ends up in 3-ring binders. But imagine if second edition ended up in 3-ring binder. What a strange world we would have lived in.
It's true. I mean, they first came out in books, but then I think the compromise was the Monstrous Compendium.
Yeah. Which makes sense because he can just sell the packages. He did say that like the binders themselves would be expensive, so that might be a thing. RPGA is going to be playtesting second edition, which is interesting.
I didn't get the chance.
No, you dropped out before you could playtest it.
I did.
And he says it should be on the shelves in March or April 1989, which is 2 years from now. But the fact is, strangely enough, it comes out in April 1989. It is a miracle that they hit the deadline. They gave themselves a lot of time. There was no rush. It seemed like they were going to do it correctly this time, not rush things out, not overpromise, underdeliver. They were just going to do exactly what they're going to do, and which is good. And the other thing he mentions in this article is that modules are getting cheaper, which is, I was like, what? Something went cheaper? I looked into this a little bit, and that's because modules, I guess at the time, were terrible sellers. Nobody wanted modules. So they had all these modules written, and they're like, nobody's buying these things. We got to drop the price so people actually buy them. So that's why modules got cheaper. So it's interesting.
He said the ones that are on the shelves, they're staying, but anything they release henceforth was going to be like $2 cheaper.
Yeah. And even the ones on the shelves, I'm sure in the game stores are on clearance if they're not selling, right? So.
And I think the combination of you make your own at home,
yeah,
you don't need to buy them, and
that's right off the bat. Yeah, TSR.
The cost of them is, so
you could be buying something else for that same cost. Yeah,
exactly.
So if you can eliminate one of those two problems,
it's almost like you got the money. Okay, I'll buy a module, but mostly it's. Or I found most times you end up with modules is for birthdays and stuff. People are just like, oh, it's got AD, it's got it on there. They give it to you. But they said when TSR first started for AD&D, or I think it wasn't even AD&D, I think it was D&D, that they were like, we're not going to do modules because they just don't sell. Now, who wants a module? People are going to do it at home. And then Judges Guild and companies like that started doing modules and selling quite well. And TSR was like, oh, well, they're selling them. We better do them because we want that sweet, sweet money. But yeah. I guess in the end, you're right. Most people, it's an extra expense. Probably at this point, people's belts are tightening a bit, and they're maybe not have that kind of income to just be spending on random things. So yeah, modules are first to be cut, kind of thing. So you'll see a lot less modules being put out as much as other things.
And I would be so bold as to say, even I've said it before, I didn't care for the way the modules were laid out, were written, and So someone else who finds another way to make it more palatable comes along, you know.
You had to
I don't-
heavily.
I don't think I had any kind of prejudice to how they were written or anything.
You had to heavily modify them because they were pretty simple how they laid them out. You had to modify them to fit, really. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but I think that was part of my making it my own. Was
Yeah, of course. They were like guidelines more than actual. Hey, this is exactly how you do things.
yeah,
They were pretty small. Like you look at the original AD&D modules, they weren't thick. They're 20 pages, something like that, if that, with maps and stuff. So, So it wasn't like it was a. Nowadays we think of modules as like, I have one somewhere. Where is that? There, I have a module just here. It's a full size book. Like it's a campaign more than a module, you know. So it's interesting how things have changed. We'd call that like a screen, like for Cyberpunk they call them scream sheets now, where it's just like a quick hit, you know, like you kind of build your world around this little idea instead. So, yeah, I think bigger modules like campaigns, like Master Lathrotep or Horror in the Orient Express,
yeah.
those kind of things. I think even Call of Cthulhu in general worked more with modules because it was more clues. There was more searching. It wasn't just okay.
Well,
you meet this bunch of creatures and you fight them. You know. So.
The Temple of Elemental Evil was probably one of the biggest campaign books that D&D, because most of the time, I think these modules were meant to be one shots, or they divided them up into 4 different skinny ones, which could have been put together in one big one. You know, like the A series was 4 modules.
Yeah.
The Giant series was 3 modules.
I think they eventually did that in the end too. That they did start combining them all too.
Like the D series was 3 modules,
Drow,
which then got combined with the L modules, which I think are the Loth ones.
Yeah. Yeah, there was those quick hit ones, especially for the price. What they said there were $8 for the small ones and $10 for the big ones. That's quite a bit of money back then.
They were $8 in the 80s, if I remember right.
Yeah, so it's $8 and they were dropping them down to $5.95 and to $10 ones to $7.95. That's a little bit more reasonable. That's more like pocket change instead of this is my whole allowance for the month, you know.
Yeah, we're still talking about a time when gas was less than $1 a gallon.
Oh yeah, for way cheaper than that. Yeah. So, anyways, was that mine? Yeah, that was mine. So we're back to Pat. Do you have any more?
I am done with articles.
I think I have one more, and that's on page 56. And that's another quick one. This is another. It's packing it all away, and it's a long article just saying you should be able to carry more if you have a backpack. That's pretty much what this whole article says.
Which is the whole purpose of having a backpack, I think, right?
Yeah. And they say in the actual rules, you could have a backpack. It doesn't matter if you have a backpack or not. It's the exact same encumbrance. So it just points out that encumbrance doesn't work and is stupid. And because he's like, well, the way they go, it's by weight instead of by volume. Because a lot of it's, you can carry, 100 gold coins or like 5 pillows. Like volume matters, right? So
as you would know if you went and bought games at Gen Con and put them in a backpack.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There's lighter things and there's heavier things. But so it's interesting. But it was kind of like, yeah, you're right. But I think the second edition does fix this a bit, I think, for certain things. So I don't think I've ever played a game with encumbrance because other than like within reason, like you can't carry a grand piano with you, but it's usually like, yeah, fine, you can carry all your gold on you, even though that makes no sense. But
yeah, I know people have, but I never have, and I couldn't imagine what would drive someone to make that. Even in if you're running a survival theme where it would be a lot of bookkeeping that I wouldn't want to do if I was running a game.
Well, when I'm playing things like games like Skyrim or Fallout, that's my most annoying thing is when you have too much weight. I hate that. so encumbrance of those games annoy the hell out of me, and you have a lot more things you can carry in that game. So in D&D,
it's used to bug to crap me.
Yeah.
As soon as you try and move forward and you're walking instead of running, and you look and go, I
got 1 point over
501 out of 500.
Or you're trying to get away and you can't get away from something you used to be able to get away from.
Yeah. That's it for my articles. So we'll move on to ads, I believe, eh? Who's got a lot of ads? Pat, do you have a lot of ads?
I only have 2.
Jack, how many do you have?
1.
Okay, I'll go first since I have 3. We're gonna go to page 107. We'll do this one quick because it's a secondary one for me. I was right here anyways. It's more about BattleTech. Great art for BattleTech. This is session where
I would say this. I think we're taking a step back in art.
it is 80s art in BattleTech. When they do people, not so great. When they do mechs and stuff, amazing. But yes.
I don't think this guy's got knees. I think he's got fake legs.
he's just got stumps. Yeah. So this is this information about Comstar and House Steiner. So that's a Steiner there, and that's a Comstar Adept beside him. But I just, once again, we're pointing at the funny FASA art. And it looks like it was done with pencil crayon, though, frankly. So that's why most of their art is black and white. Because when they color it, not so great.
Yeah.
Pat, what is your first ad?
Let's go to page Dos.
Das Equis. Another
Blood
game.
Royale. GW is really blasting out the board games here, is all I could say. I don't know what this is either.
Yeah, good picture.
Yeah. Is this
got
a
a Zui handler.
a medieval? Oh, yeah. Here he goes. You ruler of one of the great kingdoms of Europe.
Once again, very expensive. $35.
$35, yeah. And it's 6-piece full color board.
30 plastic
a map of
playing
13
pieces. So
yeah. So I don't know where GW just was. I don't remember GW ever just blasting the market with games.
no, not like this. It's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, when I say blasting the market with games, I don't mean either just 40K or fantasy. I'm talking a plethora of different board games.
And they're not. Doesn't look like they're attached to fantasy or well, there's no 40K yet.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it's a fantasy offshoot. This is like just a medieval war game that they just. I don't know if they're just licensing them and putting them out or what, but it's just weird. Yeah. So, it's another GW crazy game.
Yep.
Jack, what's your first
There's
ad?
at least 2 of them a month they're coming out with.
It seems
it's
I've
ridiculous.
never heard of any of them. I've never heard of a single one. So
yeah, I mean, what do you associate Games Workshop with? 40K Fantasy Talisman,
Judge Dredd, like that kind of stuff, sure, but
yeah,
like and eventually Middle Earth, but yeah.
Or Fantasy Roleplay, which I think was covered in this magazine, but I didn't talk about it.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Jack, what's your first ad?
Page 33, please. Speaking of the
there you go. Yeah, fantasy.
Games Workshop peppering these magazines now.
Yeah.
Imperial Dwarves, or Dwarfs, as it is written.
That's the British way to write it.
And
Games Workshop tried to trademark dwarfs.
No, that's how they do it. They don't say dwarves; they say dwarfs. I don't know why.
And I'm allowed to say that because Pat's Filipino. So we have,
and those dwarfs have sticks.
Escrima
we have for Games Workshop a pretty decent looking model. I'll be the first to say I don't care for the aesthetics of their stuff. For the vast majority of their stuff, it's not my thing. I know I'm probably in the minority.
Especially
don't
modern.
care for most of their stuff. These guys are probably the nicest hemmed in.
I don't like. Their dwarves don't have knees. It's actually in canon. Their dwarves don't have knees.
But as I was about to make a comment that this was a 10 out of 10 when I was reading the magazine, I looked down and one of the dwarves does have a helmet that has a little dwarf.
Oh yeah,
a metal dwarf on his head, which I think is the proto. Hey, let's just make everything as asinine and unrealistic and like that would not, his head wouldn't be able to stand up like. But I would have liked to have had these.
Well, maybe you can.
I can't say that about much of their stuff.
Although I bet GW these dwarves are probably collector's items now. So.
Oh yeah. But back in the day,
I think especially if you can find the one that's got like the miner's helmet on.
There's a minor helmet.
Grimson.
Oh, is he?
The,
Is he
looks
famous?
like a Saxon.
Yeah, I don't think they don't think they make that helmet anymore.
It is a. It is very GW, early GW. This is very.
Well, this
aesthetic.
is before GW, and they were still two separate companies, Citadel and Games
Yeah,
Workshop.
that's right.
So these
yeah.
Citadel gets absorbed by Games Workshop.
Yeah, I
Yes,
wonder when that
eventually.
happens. Yeah.
Much like a large gelatinous cube. It just
The digestive juices get Citadel miniatures.
Comment below, unless Pat's going to look it up before you can comment below.
Nope, I'm not going to do that because I know how angry you got last time.
Well, we got a lot of messages. That's all I know. We better have gotten a lot of messages. Okay, we'll go to my next ad. Is going to be probably Pat's. I'm not going to use that one. I'll go to page 71. I know the last one I have is probably Pat's, so I'm not going to do it. This is another BattleTech one, but the only reason I point this one out is because it's blatantly it's a Phoenix Hawk, but it's blatantly same artwork as as Macross or BattleTech. It's like Roy Fokker's plane, and at this point, I think they're just taunting Harmony Gold. Harmony Gold already tried to sue them at this point, and BattleTech won. It's only later that they come back at them and actually stop them from having these unseen. But I think at this point they're like, screw you, Harmony Gold. We could do what we want.
Yeah, I mean that was probably what was their downfall.
Because it's exactly their paint scheme of the
Well, orange instead of yellow though.
Wow, it's pretty close. And it's got
you
the skull.
Don't own the Jolly Roger. You don't own.
Well, it's the actual ship. They licensed it, and I guess at this point, Harmony Gold's like, oh, they licensed it. I guess they didn't look into the license and be like, oh, that license isn't legitimate. And they later, FASA tries to sue Exo Squad for using some mechs in their game that they licensed from Japan, and then Harmony Gold's like, no, we have the license to this, and then they look into it deeper, and that's when they come back at FASA, and we're like, FASA's like, oh crap. It's like the WWE suing the WW, or WWF selling WWF, or suing WWF, the Wildlife Fund, and then finding out, oh, they had the trademark first and not being able to use it anymore. Same thing happens with FASA. It's a hubris. They flew too close to the sun, but this is definitely, I think, this day FU to Harmony Gold and to Palladium. So that's what this is. Seeing how every one of these mechs behind him is also a unseen. So yeah. Pat, your last ad. I have a feeling I know what one it is.
Page 82.
Oh, it isn't. It's not the same as one as mine. What is this?
So this is Dragon Riders of Pern. It's a 2-page ad. But the thing I don't know, this was brought up by Tor Publishing, who published a lot of fantasy books that I read. But these are, I don't know if these are choose your own adventures or RPG books based on the Anne McCaffrey world of the Dragon Riders. I've read this ad maybe 3 times now, and I can't tell. I like to think these are choose your own adventure books.
Yeah, the way it says the Crossroads Adventure, that sounds like choose your own adventure books to me.
That, and because it's the publisher Tor. I don't know if Tor's still around.
They're probably owned by HarperCollins or one of the other ones. Random House. Tor, I believe, is also the ones who did BattleTech books eventually. They did a lot of sci-fi. I remember Tor.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
They used to do horror books, too. The Tor Horror was... they had a huge library of spooky books.
Yeah, looks like they're still around.
There you go. Tor... But it's an old school ad. It looks like a photocopy. the Dragon Rider.
I do love the Dragon Rider Pern series. Very, very nice series of books.
Anne McCaffrey, very famous.
Yeah.
Yes. In the world, it's Crossroads Adventure in the world of. Oh, the first one's Pern. The second one's Robert Silverberg's Madripoor. And the last one's Donald Drake's Dragon Lord. So it's 3 different worlds that's in. It's not all in Pern.
And written by different people. So
yeah.
I do believe they're probably either like choose your own adventure books licensed to buy, or they sold the rights to the extended universe, and these people have written basically fan fiction.
Maybe this is the Crossroad Adventure is because it looks like it's trademarked, is the Choose Your Adventure. Because I think Choose Your
it's just in
Adventure
I
the-
assume so.
is trademarked also.
Oh, it is for sure. Yeah, everybody had their own version, but it looks like they do all different ones. Like
I
tons
didn't
of
realize. I
different
thought
ones.
these were all Anne McCaffrey.
No, it looks like they have all these different Elsberg de Camp, Piers Anthony, like Roger Zelazny. It looks like they have all these different worlds that they're doing these Choose Your Own Adventures in. That's interesting. Tor. My last one then, since you didn't take it, I thought you would for sure, is on page 17. It's Interceptor.
I did not pick this one because we talked about it already.
Yeah, but this is the first actual Interceptor ad. We did play the new version, but this is the old version in the Renegade Legion world.
I think this ship was the ship that you played.
Could be. It looks very similar. They do the classic BattleTech cutaways. They also do technical readouts for this game, just like BattleTech. Like they had the form factor down for their worlds here, so they didn't put crazy amounts out for Renegade Legion, but what they put out was pretty top of the line. So fun stuff. This is a fighter game in space, so yep, it's just another one.
And it's deadly.
Fun times. Any more ads? Anyone? Anything else to add to this episode?
No, I think it was a good one.
Classic Dragon Magazine. 124. We're getting into I think pretty soon. It's when I started collecting, so we're gonna have a lot more of Rob time.
You're gonna start collecting, and Pat's gonna be being like, "Wow, this is the first time I read this magazine."
Yep. So it's gonna be fun times. Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Please comment below. Tell Pat to stop looking things up. The less we know, the better it is for our comments. That's what I say.
It's true. You're right. I am going to stop doing that because now that you say it like that, it makes all the more word.
So I was thinking ignorance is bliss, but Rob's thinking the fan interactions become a lot less necessary when we do our own
all the
fact
answers.
checking and then
That's right.
shut down all conversation. Yeah.
And I'm sure I asked a question this one, but please answer. Put your answer below. Share, please do share us around. Share us to your friends. Get the word out. We want to, more people to be watching. That'd be fun.
Especially now that you can't get this magazine or know that this magazine is out.
Yes.
New players that are just coming into this game don't know about Dragon Magazine.
That's right. Yeah, really. 5e players, they might know that this whole world of Dragon Magazine existed back in the day. And we do have a link to where you can find them all. Illegally? Who knows? What's illegal on the internet? But we do have the link in the show notes where you can find every issue. So follow along, read along, collect yourself. I'm sure you can go on eBay and find a lot of these. It's I know some of the older ones are expensive, but I'm sure at this point you probably find all these pretty cheap. So anything else to add, boys?
Negative.
No, I'm good.
Join us next week. We'll be 125ing it. And until then, I've been Rob.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Chopper.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Find us at Adepticon. We'll be there. Bye.